Welcome to the Figure in Clay. This is a sculpture show by myself and students that have been sculpting in my classes, and we're focusing on figurative work, so doing studies in anatomy, portraiture, and the human figure. And so most of the work here is in clay, and we have a whole variety of different levels and different projects. So I thought maybe we could just do a little tour and I could show you some of the work and explain a little bit about the process of the pieces. So if we look right over here, here are some examples of some portrait studies that individuals have done, and a lot of people, these might be their first portraits that they've worked on. And so in the class, what we're using is a live model, and we're working in clay, and over a number of weeks we sort of shape the clay from just a basic kind of head into something that comes to represent the specific individual in front of us. So this is an example of a lovely lady that's been sculpted by John Brooks. We've got another portrait here, and this was done in a weekend workshops that was focusing on sort of the structure of the head. And this is sort of a finished clay piece that after you fire it, you can apply different colors and different patinas to give it the coloration that you see now. Down here we have, this is an example of a figurative work. So this is a 24-inch figure, and this was done from a live model. And the way that we work is that we have an internal wire armature, so you can kind of imagine like a stick person in wire, and then we have the model and we get to pose the wire and add the clay onto it. And over I think 10 weeks or so we were working from the model, and then to create this finished piece we made a rubber mold and then cast it, and this is cast in hydrostone, which is like a harder version of plaster. And he's done a beautiful sort of copper patina on for the final piece. And if we move down this way, we can look at some of the other figurative studies that are here. This is from a figurative class. This is from the Foundations program that I do, and this was their first sort of figurative project. So we've got a 16-inch figure, and some of them you can see here are the same pose done from the same class and interpreted sort of differently by all of the different individuals, and all having sort of different coloration and capturing the sort of gesture and weight and movement of the figure. If we look over here, we've got some more examples of a portrait. So this one was done in a portrait class, and you can see the finish here is the color that the clay is when you fire it. It turns sort of a whitish kind of color. She's done a beautiful job on capturing the expression of this lady. And we also do studies on portraiture and wall hanging pieces. So this one is a clay that hasn't been fired yet, done from an actual face cast of a person. So there'll be the face of the person there, and then the individual will be able to use that as a reference to sculpt their own face. And it's an awesome way to introduce yourself to the portrait and studying the different forms of the face before you move to working with a model. It's a great way, because you can take the life cast and you can look at it from all different directions. You can touch it, you can get in there. So it's a great like pre-study to the portrait. And another example of what we do, this is from the Atelier class, which is a more individualized class, and this is a study of Michelangelo sculpture. So there's plaster casts of different master sculptures. So this one was piece by Michelangelo, and so they had the cast, and they were able to use that as a reference to create their own piece after Michelangelo, to study the way that he was approaching sculpture and form, and really sort of take that in a tactile way. Here's another example of the face from the life cast, and she's done a beautiful bronze sort of patina there. And it's just a fantastic way to be able to express things through sculpting, because you learn to see in a different way. So, you know, we're looking at people's faces all the time in our day-to-day life, but when you go to sculpt them, you have to learn to see them in a completely different way, and you're looking at the shapes and, you know, the nose and how does the form of the nose go, and it just opens up this whole new kind of visual world. And that's one of my favorite things, I think, about sculpting is yeah, kind of awakening your mind to that other third dimension of the world around you. And yeah, so this is a show that's running here at Dale's Gallery just for the weekend. And if you want to come learn any sculpting, my studio is on Government Street, and I have a website. It's melaniefurtado.com, and I've got all my classes up there. I've got some summer workshops and regular classes starting in the fall for all levels, beginners through intermediate.
This is my son Calvin.
I was like, every box. He's the man. All together and like in a nice setting, you know. Yeah, that's very neat. Awesome. Very neat. You want the hands? You want to meet?
You're looking for David Diana.
By Diana?
Yes.
Yes. He's a wall. Oh.